Welcome back, guys and gals. Matty back again. Today we are straight up going to be talking about whether or not ultralight backpacking is actually safe. Now for today's video, we are going to talk about ultralight backpacking as a 10-pound base weight. We're going to be talking about 10 pounds because 10 pounds is sort of the generally accepted number that people strive towards when you're trying to get to that ultralight backpacking gear loadout. Now if you guys aren't sure what a base weight is, the base weight of your backpacking gear is the weight of all your gear, including your pack, minus your consumables. Your consumables are your food, your fuel, and your water. Now, holding up these bottles, this is actually what sparked the idea behind this video to begin with. Now, I very recently did a video on backpacking mistakes, and I listed one of the backpacking mistakes I see a ton of people making is still carrying a Nalgene bottle over a disposable bottle for their summer backpacking trips. And I do stand behind what I said. I still personally think carrying a 7.5 ounce Nalgene bottle that's just carrying water in your backpack over a disposable bottle that weighs 1.25 ounces, I do still think that that's a mistake. But the reason that I'm talking about this from a safety aspect is because the big reasons that people said carrying a Nalgene bottle is better than carrying a smart bottle is a lot of safety reasons. And one of the biggest safety reasons that people talked about was the ability to put hot water inside a Nalgene and put it into your sleeping bag for a little bit of extra warmth at night. Now, to me, it was kind of ridiculous that people were talking about that as a safety concern, because to me, being safe would be carrying the right sleeping bag or quilt for the area and the temperature range that you're going into. But I thought it would be a good idea to make a video and cover some of the other misconceptions that people have when it comes to ultralight backpacking and safety concerns. I'm sure somebody's going to light me up and say, but Matty, we've seen your backpacking gear loadout videos and you don't carry a 10-pound base weight. Your base weight is like 12 pounds. And yes, the lightest base weight that I can get to is a 12-pound base weight with my hammock or with my tent set up. The big difference between my backpacking gear loadout and a lot of the ultralight backpackers out there is I don't have a carbon fiber tarp or a carbon fiber tent to go with my backpacking gear loadout. If I was to switch out my 3FUL Lanshan 1P or my UGQ Winter Dream 12 tarp with carbon fiber versions of those tents or tarps, I would drop over 1 pound out of my backpacking gear loadout, and that would get me to just under 11 pounds for my backpacking base weight. And you've also got to take into account, I carry these guys right here, which are two very, very vital pieces of safety gear for the areas that I backpack. This guy here is my DeLorme InReach. This is my two-way satellite communication device, and it's also got an SOS function. So if I ever get myself into trouble in the backcountry and I ever have a massive safety concern and I need to get an evac out of the backcountry, I can trigger the SOS function on this guy. And I've also got two-way communication. So when I link this up with my cell phone, it is almost like texting in the backcountry. So this guy here is a very vital piece of safety gear that is included in my base weight, as is this guy here. This is my bear spray. Now, for the areas that I backpack, it is heavy grizzly and heavy black bear country. So carrying bear spray to me is an absolute no-brainer. I have not seen very many other backpackers out there listing an InReach and bear spray as part of their base weight in their backpacking kit. So add just over 1 pound to my backpacking base weight with these two guys here. So if I had the aforementioned carbon fiber tent or carbon fiber tarp and wasn't including these guys here on my base weight, I would be actually underneath that 10-pound base weight that people talk about for ultralight backpacking. So covering two big safety concerns, let's dive into some other safety concerns that people have when it comes to ultralight backpacking. Originally coming from a more traditional backpacking gear loadout where I was carrying a 20 to 25 pound base weight for every backpacking trip, I had a lot of these concerns as well when it came to ultralight backpacking, where I thought you were going to be uncomfortable, there's no way you were going to be warm, and how can you be safe out in those conditions when you're only carrying 10 pounds on your back? But the more I started looking into it, getting a more ultralight backpacking gear loadout is just simply using a lot of gear that you have for dual purpose. Now, a prime example of a piece of gear that is dual purpose and has helped me shave a whack of weight out of my base weight is this guy right here on my head, my toque or my beanie. Where this is dual purpose for me is obviously I wear this in the evenings when it gets cool. I'll throw this on, keeps my ears warm. As a teenager, I got frostbite, so my ears are ridiculously susceptible to cold. So I carry a toque with me almost all summer. I can't handle the cold on my ears. But where this becomes a dual purpose piece of gear for me and helped me shave a ton of weight out of my backpacking gear loadout is when I made the switch from a traditional mummy sleeping bag to a backpacking quilt. Now, I'm not gonna dive into all the differences between a quilt and a sleeping bag. I've already made that video, and if you guys wanna see it, I'll link it up over here for you guys. But where this piece of gear becomes dual purpose is my backpacking quilt does not have a hood on it. So I just wear my toque at night and it keeps my ears warm. So it eliminates the need for having a hood on my mummy sleeping bag, and it's a piece of gear that I'm pretty sure most people are already carrying with them anyways. And I did not sacrifice any safety at all going from a traditional mummy sleeping bag to a top quilt. I did not sacrifice any warmth, and I was able to use my toque as a dual purpose piece of gear. Now taking dual purpose gear to another level with my hammock setup, I was able to incorporate my Thermarest Z seat into my sleep system. What I do with my Thermarest Z seat, besides using this as my sit pad and putting it over a stump or a log and putting my bum down on it, giving myself a little bit of cushion when I'm sitting down, is in my sleep system. I open it up and I put it into the foot box of my top quilt, and I rest my heels and my calves on here, and that allows me to carry a partial length underquilt. So the underquilt I carry on my hammock only goes to the back of my calves, and this guy here keeps my feet and my heels warm. So I was able to save almost a quarter pound off my backpacking base weight by going with a partial length underquilt by just simply using a little bit of gear for dual purpose. Because at night, my Z seat would just be laying underneath my hammock underneath me. So using it as part of my sleep system helped me save a bunch of weight, and I did not sacrifice any safety going that route. Now, we briefly talked about shelter systems at the start, and I want to dive into it a little bit more. A big way that you can save a bunch of weight out of your backpacking base weight, and you're not sacrificing any safety or comfort at all, is by going with a trekking pole tent. Now, this guy right here in the stuff sack is my 3FUL 1.5P Lanchan tent. And if you guys want a little bit of information on this tent here, I'm not going to dive into it too much in this video, but I'll pop a link in the cards over here for you guys. I did a full review on this video, and I've also got a setup video that you can find in the description of that video there. The primary reason we're talking about my tent right now is because it's a trekking pole tent. So it does not have any poles that come with the tent. I use a trekking pole to set it up. I'm sure, like myself, most people are carrying at least 1 or 2 trekking poles with you. So using your trekking pole in a dual purpose fashion, because obviously I'm using it while I'm hiking, but also using this to help me set up my tent, this becomes dual purpose. So it helps me shave a bunch of weight out of my backpacking base weight, and I'm not sacrificing any comfort or safety going with a trekking pole tent over a traditional dome tent, like say my old MSR Hubba Hubba tent that I was using prior. Now obviously I've talked about a whole bunch of different gear choices that I've made that helped me get closer to an ultralight base weight, and I didn't really sacrifice any safety, and I did not sacrifice any comfort going that route. But for me, the biggest reason why I think that ultralight backpacking is a safe route to go is just simply your on-trail experience. Myself personally, I like doing longer hikes. I like the backpacking trips where I'm out there for at least 4 to 5 days, and I like doing a lot of longer miles. To me, I prefer doing, say, a 20 to 25 kilometer day because I maximize my time out in the backcountry. Where I'm at in my life right now, I don't get out backpacking as much as I would like to and as much as I used to. I have a lot more commitments back at home with my fiance and my family back home. So I personally like to maximize my time out in the backcountry. Now, where ultralight backpacking has really helped me is getting down to my 12-pound base weight that I'm currently sitting at. Going out on, say, a 5-day backpacking trip, I know that with my food, fuel, and water, my backpack is going to be under 24 pounds. So for me, hitting a 25 to 30 kilometer day with 24 pounds on my back is absolutely nothing. With the backpacking gear loadout that I was carrying prior, when I was doing a more traditional backpacking gear loadout, my backpack would be upwards of 40 to 45 pounds. My shoulders would be sore. My back would be a little bit stiff when I got to camp. So to me, that in itself is actually safer. When you're going longer distances and you're trekking through some of the terrain and some of the conditions that I do backpack in, I personally feel that carrying a lighter backpack makes my experience out there safer. I'm not getting as fatigued, less chance I'm gonna roll an ankle or suffer a devastating injury out on trail simply because I have way less weight on my back in the long run. So hopefully this has helped clear up some of the concerns with safety and ultralight backpacking. And if you guys are interested in ultralight backpacking and looking to driving your own base weight down, what I've got over here is an entire playlist full of videos on backpacking weight saving tips. So when you guys are done watching this one, head on over there, find a video in the playlist to check out. And as always, guys, I am Matty. Thank you guys so dang much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.